to to a very special Thanksgiving episode of the Salesforce Business Analyst Virtual Trailhead Community Group, which is what I think the name of the group is. There are many words there. But today we are here to talk about promotability in the age of AI, redefining BA value. But first, some housekeeping items. So the meeting will be recorded, edited, and posted on our YouTube page. Thank you to our almost 700 subscribers at this point. So somebody's getting some value from this thing. So I'm excited about that. I should be better about posting these things more rapidly, but this will be the moment every month that I feel a little bit guilty for not doing that fast enough. As far as our acceptance criteria for this meeting, chat and we will do our best to keep up, but don't spam the chat. If we didn't hear you the first time, don't write it 5 more times. Raise your hand if you want to speak. Angela will let you know when there are, I think there's like a little hand thing somewhere, right? Like, yeah, there we go. Rohan, thank you for demonstrating. So if you want to speak, raise your hand first so we can call on you. And Angela will let you know when she wants some participation. I opened up QA for questions. So if you have any questions that you are waiting for the right moment to ask, just throw it in the QA, and that way we can keep an eye on them. And also, if there's anything particularly insightful or links, we will try to pin them to the top of the chat. Agenda today, we've got our intros, promotability in the age of AI, redefining BA value. Really excited to have Angela Wick here with us. Some Q&A, even though I think it's going to be more of a facilitated discussion type dealie. So chat the whole time. We will figure it out. Then I've got some SFBA news and opportunities. We're going to give away 2 certs today. I've decided to do the London version that I've seen, where we're going to do some interactive duck races, not the quizzes that we generally do, but I really quite enjoyed the duck races, so I'm bringing that to the US today, globally. I forget we're a global group. I'm in the US though. And then we're going to do recording off, badass BA chit chat. Bring your gripes, bring your grievances, bring your celebrations. We're excited to talk about it off camera. So, who am I? I'm Vanessa Krant. I've got a new side hustle. So folks may or may not know, my mother's Colombian. I have been really wanting to support the group in South America of Salesforce Trailblazers, and so I have partnered with a nearshore resources group. So if you are looking for some nearshore resources or developers, I am happy to connect you. But that's kind of my new side hustle these days. I'm still doing my business analysis and Scrum mastering. I've got to stand up right after this, but I'm kind of excited about some new opportunities that have presented themselves lately. Joined by my co-hostess with the mostest.
Hello, everyone. I am the part 2 of the part 1, part 2 of the hosts for our Badass BA group. You know me, I do everything in project delivery. And I am excited to be going to Mexico Green, which I'm flying out tomorrow, which is why it's today. So thank you, Vanessa, and thank you, everybody, for rocking up today instead of a Tuesday. That's me. I will hand over to Angela.
All right.
Oh, over to me. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Angela Wick. Happy to be here. Thankful for all of you for showing up and being here with me today. I am a BA at heart. I don't have a lot of Salesforce background at all. So you guys get to teach me a little bit about Salesforce in our conversation today. And hopefully I can bring up a few interesting things about AI and business analysis. I've been doing BA work for over 27 years, modernizing practices. I've done ERP projects before, not necessarily Salesforce, but I do have ERP packaged software implementation experience. So hopefully that'll connect over.
Well, also, Angela, I know you just did a session last week that I guess was kind of the opening act for Global Business Analysis Day, how to do business analysis for agentic AI, and that is kind of all we're hearing about in the Salesforce ecosystem these days. So
Yes,
thoroughly
Agentforce.
relevant to our interests.
I am very, very, I did watch a lot of Dreamforce online that a couple weeks ago. I was very curious about that. Also, so I've been learning about Agentforce a bit. I have a class on LinkedIn learning about agentic AI and business analysis. So check that out. And I'm curious how you think that applies to Agentforce. A lot of it's more the generic skills, not necessarily a certain technology to build agents. So anyway, we'll get into more of that later. But yes, I know enough about Salesforce to talk about it with you all. But yeah. All right. So should I swap over and share my screen then?
Let's go for it.
Okay. Let's do this one. Let's see how that works. How's that?
Beautiful.
Yay. Okay. Hi, everybody. Excellent. All right. So future-proof your future. Let's talk about promotability. Here's how I want this to go. I like a very active chat. So you guys can chat it up in the chat. And if you have specific questions, put them in the Q&A. But really, I did not prepare a full 1 hour presentation because I want to chat with you guys about this stuff. So I've got some slides. If we want to pause and chat about something, we can. Definitely at the end, we can also chat. But let's talk about what AI means to business analysis. And just to kind of give you guys a little idea of what's been going on in my world is that business analysis is changing dramatically. Are you guys seeing this as well in the AI world, right? Oh my gosh, who's in Birmingham? That's where I'm going on Wednesday. I see the chat. I am going to Birmingham to the Think Data event, Data AI and Leadership Summit. So maybe promise I'll see you there. Let me know. So anyway, but AI is changing our role so much. I'm working with organizations on how they are redefining and redesigning business analysis roles and practices in their organizations, as well as all the content and stuff. Oh, Birmingham, USA. Sorry, I see that in the chat. Yes, Birmingham, USA, I'll be going to. So with that, we should be concerned about how to be promoted because the constant message I'm hearing from leaders and those working on rearranging these roles with me is that if BAs do not shift how they think and how they work, we're going to have some struggles, right? So the BA role as we know it of the past is dramatically changing and we cannot stay stagnant. We cannot think that the BA role is not changing. It is 100%. So let's talk about what that means. AI's impact on BAs in my world comes in 3 things. Productivity, how we use AI to be more productive, but we have to be careful because some of the things we've done in the past do not need to be done anymore. Ooh, wait a minute. So we have to be careful optimizing and being more productive as a BA with AI because we have to be open and aware that, wait, does this need to be done anymore? Wait, how do we know it needs to be done anymore? Well, that comes with number 2, teaming. We are changing how we work partially in response to how others work, right? We're in the middle, right? I like to call business analysts integrators. We're integrators of development, business value, testing, change management, user experience. We integrate all these things together, including architecture, for example. So when we're integrating all of that, that means that we don't just change ourselves in a box. Everybody else around us is changing how they work as well. So we have to constantly collaborate and team differently. And the third change for us as BAs is business models and business processes. So how our clients and organizations are changing their business processes in a world of AI, of course, we want to be helping them transform those processes. Okay, so let's imagine the new world. Now, it's kind of funny. I should have redid this image for Salesforce because after watching Dreamforce, my understanding is, you see that AI on the screen? So this is a group of business analysts and project team members working with AI to build with AI. Okay. But now after watching Dreamforce, my understanding is you would be doing this with Slack. So I could put Slack on the screen, right, for my Salesforce Agentforce fans.
No, I mean, with Agent Force, you're still building it out in Salesforce. Like, of course, you can do some Slack things too, but they're big on pushing the, like, especially at Dreamforce. Like, it's going to be all, hey, do you already have a Salesforce contract? Hey, why don't you buy some Agent Force? Hey, why don't you buy some Slack? Hey, why don't you buy multi-cloud solutions? It's how do they bring in those enterprise clients? And now Agent Force is just on Salesforce.
Gotcha. So, I mean, basically, no matter you're interfacing with Slack or another AI tool with Agentforce, imagine doing rapid prototypes in the room with your stakeholders and technical teams. This is one of the major shifts that we'll be working on as BAs, is we need to be collaborating with AI in the room, augmenting our work and helping us work a lot faster to elicit and analyze. So that is one of the big shifts that we are making. And what that means is analysis is continuous. It's not necessarily this phase. And so if a lot of your projects have this analysis requirements gathering phase thing, that's going to shift. The mindset is more about continuous analysis, but also leveraging the data to help us do continuous performance monitoring. So think about it in terms of, it's not a phase where you write requirements and configuration things and hand off. We're looking at, we're going to be using data and evidence and AI to interface with that data to say, hey, for this process, tell me how this is performing. How is this user doing? What are the performance measurements for the process? And then if we want to fix or change that process or create a new process, we are doing our tried and true process decomposition. So to build agents, for example, you have a lot of process decomposition we need to do from high level down to each step. And for each step, what are the rules and the guidelines and the things that need to happen in that step that an agent must employ? And then we are rapid prototyping these things on the fly and then working to implement them and integrate them into the technical ecosystem and monitoring how that goes. So think about scope more in terms of, are we monitoring and measuring how well the user is performing that task they're meant to perform? So, the bridge between business and technology is still there. It's just that we are going to be using our skills and techniques differently in an age of AI. So with that, let's think about a team of AI agents. Now, you have Salesforce, Agentforce to do business processes, but what if you had, and by the way, this is not fiction, this I am seeing in some organizations already today, agents that are monitoring existing solutions for blips in the data, telling us where things aren't working, providing strategic options and alternatives, modeling various options, doing impact analysis, document and updating analysis assets, assisting in creating spec-driven development and coding assets as input to AI coding agents, tracking and recommending solutions, proposing roadmaps, and analyzing requests and issues reported. BAs, you become the curator and facilitator, orchestrator, and critical thinker in this process. You enable and focus on decision velocity with agents doing a lot of the work that you are supervising. So end-to-end value realization, not just one module, one configuration parameter, one piece. So this is exciting, right? It elevates our role to a new level. And just like you're building agents with Agentforce, where you have to understand the process and the users decompose it, with a team of AI agents doing software development that obviously Salesforce has already been working on building. It's really funny. Some of the sessions at Dreamforce I sat in on, they were, of course, talking about the magic of how Agentforce would just develop these things. And every once in a while, one of the speakers would say, well, of course, you have your process perfectly documented, and that's what the agent, is referencing. Thank you for that half laugh, Vanessa, on that, because yes, exactly. If we are BAs listening to this, we should be going, because we've ever seen a process perfectly documented that an agent can reference. So one of our battles right now as BAs is fighting this idea that big tech and big consulting firms are telling our C-level and senior VP level organizations that with agents and things like Agentforce and other agentic tools that we don't need to write requirements. It's all just done for us. Right? And I just can't help but think that that's like in a perfect world, but that's not reality. Right? Reality is our organizations are far too complex and intertwined with thousands of integrations for an agent to be able to just reference perfect context. It can reference context 100%. I just don't know of an organization that has all this perfectly documented. So this is where we come in. Does that mean we have to document it perfectly? Maybe some will get that task, but then how are we going to know if it changes, right? I still think we're years away from all this happening the way they're saying it could and should happen. And maybe for startup companies or some big tech companies, they have this perfectly documented. In fact, I'm guessing Salesforce, has all of their processes perfectly documented. Does that mean all of your organizations and clients follow those processes perfectly with no customizations? No way. Right? Don't tell me you don't have any of that happening and you don't have any of it linking out to other integrations and your ecosystem isn't more complex than the perfectly, documented everything, right? So business analysis is still needed hugely. Service chatbots are just the start. AI agents will be running just about every business process and humans will be supervising. That means us in a lot of situations. BAs will also ensure that the integration actually serves the customer. It's moving from an outputs to an outcomes perspective. You might be able to build an agent and deploy it. The question is, did it actually make an outcome? So I want to quickly go over some really, really key skills that we need as BAs to survive and thrive in this environment. And these three concepts are deterministic versus probabilistic, human in the loop, and monitoring. So let's talk about deterministic for a moment. By the way, give me a little shout out in the chat. Is deterministic versus probabilistic terms you've been hearing about? Is this something you've been hearing about? Kind of curious for you guys. Some, okay. So let's get into this. Historically, your systems pre-AI or pre-today or still today are what we call deterministic or binary. Everything can be perfectly determined with an if-then logical binary loop. You know that with this input, you get exactly this output. You have expected results that are exact based on certain inputs. Okay? It's very prescriptive. Our requirements are descriptive. It's deterministic, where we can determine exactly what will happen. With an AI-based process, it becomes non-deterministic or probabilistic. That means that when we use AI, we can do the same inputs and get different outputs. Okay. Now you see this when you use something like ChatGPT. If you ask ChatGPT a question even twice, you will get different responses. And that's why sometimes people are like, oh, AI isn't accurate, because it's not binary. Google search, for example, searches on a binary Boolean string and looks for matches. Now with AI incorporated, it tries to interpret and predict things. It's going for a pattern, the most common response. That's probabilistic. So the question is, as a BA, when you're saying we want to use AI in this task or function or feature, does that step or sub-step in a step benefit from being probabilistic versus deterministic? Some steps will benefit from staying deterministic. I need to look up an account number, not guess at what the probable account number is, right? So it's deterministic to say, I'm going to take this exact account number string and go look for it in the database and pull back that person's account or their profile. It's probabilistic to say, give me accounts that have these characteristics to it. Now, wait, that could be deterministic, depending if the data is perfectly there to map to. Now, when we're in a chatbot situation chatting with a customer, do we want perfectly deterministic responses or probabilistic responses? It depends on what we're responding with. If someone says, "What's my balance outstanding?" I want a deterministic, right? If someone says, what's an example of a question that they would want a probabilistic response to? Right? If they say, "How are you doing today, Vanessa?" And Vanessa's, "Great. How are you?" to the chatbot, do we want the chatbot to say the same exact thing to every single person every single time? Or do we want the chatbot to use its context and knowledge around it to say, "Well, it's raining where I am, but doing pretty well"? It sounds more human-like if it's probabilistic and can give variable responses, right? No one likes to think they're talking to a robot, right? With a deterministic binary response. So the BA sweet spot is it's up to us to help facilitate and determine which steps and interactions are a fit for probabilistic versus deterministic in our world. And that's where agents come in. As agents and agent orchestration with Agentforce, we are going to need to analyze this for our organizations and clients. And this is a key skill to strike the right balance. So Rohan, you're asking about call centers. Call centers with scripts are simulating talking robots. Okay, it depends on your call center scripts. So I think Salesforce, they have a new integration they announced at Dreamforce with IVR systems, right? So they're likely going to use AI. This is a great example, actually. So traditional IVR systems for phone scripts are like a tree of exact responses that people get, right? If they push 1, speak exactly this recorded message. If they push 2, do this. If they do this, right? Now, back in the early 2000s, IVR started using some AI to detect what people were saying. It was voice and language pattern recognition. And so if the IVR said, "Tell us what product you're calling about," there was AI in place to try to understand what the customer was saying and match it to a product. That was probabilistic. Deterministic says the probabilistic thinks they said this, now route it exactly to here. Okay, so now AI, 15 years later, is doing much better at having that conversation. So I know, luckily I got to work on one of those projects in the early 2000s, and I had a team that had to test 100 different ways to say one product name with different accents and different ways of saying things. So yeah, crazy experience with that. Okay, so there's an example of probabilistic versus deterministic. So think about that. Every tiny little sub-step and interaction in a phone call and an IVR. So IVR systems are now able to have more natural conversations. Wait a second, then what does a BA do if you're not drawing out the perfect logic tree of a call flow? Your role changes to intent and ranges of acceptability and instructions to get the agent to perform within that range of intent. And then monitoring to see, did it perform in that range of intent? Is this not a huge shift? You see why this is my number one skill you need to know in a world of AI to get promoted? Can you imagine going onto a team and you're the BA that understands this and no one else does? You see why this will get you promoted. If that's our topic today, promotability, right? Okay. So good analysis is going to be able to strike that conversation and that balance and facilitate those conversations and thinking. Number 2, human in the loop. What does this mean? It means that BAs are going to be designing the processes where humans, could be business analysts, could be business leaders, could be business owners, subject matter experts. You're designing the process of humans supervising the AI. So what do those screens look like? Well, maybe if you're in Salesforce, those are already defined, but what are the configuration options for that? What data does the user need to see? What actions can the user take? And at what points do humans get brought into the process, and is it a push or a pull? So you're thinking about what's this agent doing and where is the governance? Where do humans need to see what's going on and what do they need to see and what do they need to be able to do? That is human in the loop. This is a huge new way of doing things that uses our existing BA skills of elicitation, of critical thinking, of design and analysis, designing human in the loop processes. We cannot have a single AI process that does not have human intervention, and we probably need more human intervention than you even are thinking. In fact, most AI projects I'm seeing are neglecting this, or if they do, it's this one tiny little screen that a human looks at if they want to later. And it's like, no. Proactive human in the loop traceability and transparency or observability into what the agent is doing and has done. This can get kind of crazy to think about, right? So, yes. All right. Number 3, monitoring and evaluating. This has a very strong connection, of course, to deterministic and human in the loop, because what do we have to monitor? Are probabilistic, non-deterministic things that are happening. And we want to monitor this in real time. We want to identify the triggers of non-deterministic or probabilistic things. We want human feedback loops, escalation tracking, and continuous improvement. You need to be in the loop yourself on all of these things and designing governance and processes that work for all of the roles that need to be involved in monitoring and evaluating these agents. So, does this blow our minds as to why I started off with how much our role is changing? Yet we can see the similarities as well. We can see the similarities in what we do today and how we can overlap our skills. We just need to find this different context, right, to put our current skills into. And we need to start deeply thinking and deeply being open to getting rid of our old ways of thinking and applying our skills in a different way. So what does this mean to us to level up our work, right? Leveling up our work is about strategic alignment, defining and leading metrics and measurements that measure end to end. So it's not just about, did that call script work? It's about, did the customer get done what they needed to get done in the easiest manner possible? Or did they have to call back? Did they have to go online and do something? Like, right? So it's really looking more end to end, not just at this little isolated piece that you might have been working in all the details on. We have to come up for air and look at the bigger picture. So end-to-end processes and recognizing that, and that's going to be inside of Salesforce and outside of Salesforce and everything else it connects to and more. And so that high level, and then at the detailed level as well, deep into the tiniest little step-by-step interaction, probabilistic, deterministic, is it working? So all of that is going to be in our roles in the future. This means we need to have a value-driven mindset, not a task-driven or output-driven mindset. We need to be data savvy and evidence-based. We need a user experience focus end to end. Did the user get done what they needed to get done? Or did they keep calling back? Was it efficient, right? Results and metrics oriented. Now you're going to align this with strategy and you're going to get promoted because leaders see you connecting the detail to the strategy. The more we can connect every piece of detailed work we do to the strategy, the better. And that will get you noticed. And also we're going to be looking for bias, ethics, and drift management. So when we have a probabilistic AI piece inside of a business or user process, if it drifts, that input then gets put into a deterministic process and maybe another probabilistic process. And so one tiny mistake can drift into bigger mistakes downstream. So this morning I was just meeting with a group of BAs and we're talking about how important this end-to-end view is so that all the teams aren't just blaming each other, right? We all have to be looking for drift in the business process and the outcomes overall. with this. So our role changes from being application-based to more end-to-end analysis-based. And okay, I'll just stay on this slide while we talk. Let's talk about all this. By the way, I'm on LinkedIn. I've got a BA community, not Salesforce specific, just BA specific. I have LinkedIn learning courses, and I wrote a book called Future Proof about how AI is changing the BA role. But let's talk about this.
Well, first, let me thank you so much for leading us into this fascinating conversation that impacts literally all of us right now.
Yeah.
And certainly, I mean, my job looks completely different than it did a year ago, like completely different. Just as far as what the day-to-day looks like. And then as far as the projects that are coming in also looks totally different day to day. How would you like to keep this conversation going? Do you want people to unmute? Do you want people to raise hands? Do you want people to just talk in the chat and we'll just pick out points?
I think I want to let people contribute how they're comfortable with. So if folks are saying, hey, I got a question, I want to come off mute, let us know in the chat. If you want to type your question, if you're more comfortable typing your question out, put it in the Q&A and we'll get to it for sure. So I just want to let people contribute how and talk however they're most comfortable.
Cool.
Yeah. Do I accept post-carrying owls? What does that mean?
Oh, as far as ways that we can contribute to this conversation.
Okay, I'm being too literal and he's being funny. Okay, very good. I do see a few hands up. Dawn,
Yes.
let's start with you.
Yes, hi. My question was around tools and where in the process you would see the most use of AI tools. If anyone has experience there, I'm just trying to understand, where in the process you've seen the largest implementation of AI tools.
I'll let everyone else chime in, and definitely put stuff in the chat as well. Everywhere. If we are not thinking about how AI can augment, not replace, augment every single thing we do, we're behind. I created this entire presentation with an AI tool.
Right. Fair.
Right. Mm-hmm. I put a bunch of notes in from my head into a presentation generator, and then I went and edited it. They're pretty dang pretty, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I guess from a BA, let's say job description perspective, are there certain AI tools that you use more frequently than others?
I probably use about 10 or 12 on a daily basis myself. I have a whole browser called AI tools. So I have probably 10 browser windows open. One of them is called AI tools. Another one's like documents I'm working on, right? Another one is my email. Another one is, right? So, yeah, I use different, and then I use all kinds of tools. But the other thing is creating tools for yourself, like GEMs, Copilots, and GPTs. How many? I mean, I'm really curious. I'm guessing we have 115 people on the call right now. I'm guessing 20+% of you have created custom tools for yourself with ChatGPT, Gemini, or Copilot. And I'd like to have you share what tools you're creating and to do what. GEMs, Maria, yes. GEMs. So you can go into Google Gemini and create what they call a gem, which is just a little tool. For example, you could create one that says user story helper. I'm going to type or talk about what the user story is, and I want you to reply back with a formally written user story with acceptance criteria drafted based on what I'm talking about. And if it's more than one user story, tell me that and create multiple. And so you can just have your own little user story tool, but you give it directions on what that means. You're saying, when, you're going to ask me this, I'm going to tell you this. You're going to ask me this, I'm going to tell you this. Then you're going to create this for me following these guidelines. And here are the best practices. And so you can write out all those instructions into a GEM or a GPT or a Copilot tool, and you can get your own little tools for yourself. So I think the question is, the tools are always changing. So it's really what I'll question back to you guys. What are you guys doing to keep using and learning tools? Because the answer today will be different a month from now as to what the best tools are. You just have to start using and start making it part of your day and keep an open eye, and you will be evolving as you go because they're all changing all the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I live in ChatGPT, or right now I have a client that has their own kind of version of ChatGPT that's safe for whatever we want to put in it. So that I use on a daily basis. That and even for and then the other thing I use is I currently use Fireflies for transcription, but I'm big on I love the traceability aspect of it, where it's not just I'm writing a user story and based on these meetings we had, here are my user stories or here are my requirements. It's I could even give me the quote that this user story is based off of. So if we need some additional context, but I'm not writing the solution, but maybe they indicated a few things that they expected as far as what the solution might be, I could still kind of include those quotes for context in my user story. It makes things a bit richer for me. So those are the big things that I use. I would love to in the future, and I'm not there yet, but I would love to leverage agents for change management in the future. So the idea of and if anybody wants to do a little side project, we'll throw something in the agent store. But I would love to do something where we could if we're doing Salesforce projects that we build that there's an agent tool that we could upload our user stories, our solution, and our knowledge base, or maybe even create a knowledge base from it, and then have it so that our users can ask it questions as far as because I find so many users are afraid to ask for additional training or worried about that they have the stupid question or whatever it might be. And sometimes a quick start guide or FAQ isn't sufficient enough. So having that agent support and also having the agent come back and give us like, were there enhancements that they requested? Is there additional feedback? And having more of that stuff in real time, I think would be super helpful as far as things that I see for how I would like to use AI in the future.
Mm-hmm. All kinds of good stuff in the chat with folks saying what they're using, and half these tools I haven't even heard of. But again, there are literally thousands and thousands of tools. It's all about just starting to try them out, and when you find yourself kind of thinking, "Gosh, I'm just not more productive with this," it's probably time to switch to a different tool or try something else out, or perhaps find some videos on how to use that tool differently or how to prompt it differently, right? I can see one other hand up. Is there more than one, Vanessa, that you can see?
Let's see.
Prasad, I see his hand up.
Yeah, I see two.
Two now. Okay, great. But Dawn, did we help with your question there? Okay, thumbs up. All right. Shiv Prasad, tell us what's on your mind.
Hi, Angela. Good morning. So I see that this was a good presentation. I'd love to thank you so much. But my question is, what are the basic steps for a newcomer or they want to switch into BA? What are some of the main points that they want to keep in mind, that these are the foundation step which is very important for any technology or something. So what are those key points that we have to take care of that?
It's like $1 million question, huh? Right? Yeah, I mean, I would say just keep learning. It's going to be context dependent, depending on your organization, your exact role, how your organization works, where your organization's at on their AI journey. But the basics are still there, plus AI literacy, data literacy, are all very, very important as well. But a lot of the basics of BA are important. We're just reframing how we use them and how we do the work. So the BA role is huge, right? I mean, it's absolutely huge. And even 5 years ago, we'd say the same thing. What are the basics? Well, it really depends on what your role is. What is the scope of your role? Because every organization, it's different. but I
Yeah.
would start with a lot of those BA foundations and understanding constructs like process, data, users, workflow, how all of those things work together, rules, which is configuration parameters in most packaged software environments. So understanding all those constructs and how they relate. So, right, do you know how rules relate to process, how data relates to process, and what techniques you can use to analyze, data changes? How does that impact process? How does a rule change impact a process? How does a user change impact rules and data? And really understanding those constructs of structured requirements information is quite key. Natalie
Thank you,
Mean, my first LinkedIn learning course was my requirements elicitation interviews. Yes, so that course was created back in 2014. And we've since revised that course to a new version in 2024, Natalie. So check that out. It's called Stakeholder Conversations. And then, yes, that's the one. Yes. So is it on, and just put the new course version in there. So yeah. I also have a new course called Intro to Business Analysis, which is a kind of a more modern take on Introduction to Business Analysis. So Sri Prasad, that might be a good one. That's out on LinkedIn Learning, just called Introduction to Business Analysis. And then the agentic AI one's out there as well. So
Yeah,
how
definitely
And
I
I-
can
and I
do that course.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Angela. And I think it's a good reminder that at the end of the day, business analysis, it's still important to understand business analysis formally, foundationally. Just like, what is business analysis? How do you do each of these things? And then when we're talking about promotability, how do you layer on the additional skills that will increase your value? So if you decide that you're going to get Scrum Master skills because that calls to you, that increases your value. DevOps skills, AI skills, certainly now, especially if you can articulate the value of AI and all these things that Angela's been talking about along the way, as far as how do we measure these things? Should we even do this in the first place? Things that we should be considering. So, and then documenting those processes so that we can do AI properly. And understanding those pitfalls. Again, that's another layer of value that you can add to your BA role. User experience design, which will also be relevant to AI. Again, another layer that can add value. So it's how do you construct your BA onion to a certain extent? With the core is always going to be business analysis, which is really never going to go away. Everybody is going to need somebody who is analytical of a business.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. How about Abhinav? Has his hand up, or her? I'm not sure.
Abhinav? We do have one question in the Q&A. I see you have a book there. Where do we get the book?
Oh, it can be purchased on Amazon or in the IIBA bookstore, which basically links out to all the different Amazons for every country. So if you search on Amazon Future Proof and Angela Wick, it'll pop up. And then the book cover is there, so you know which one you're looking for. There's an e-version as well as a paperback. It's a soft paperback.
And IIBA, for folks that don't know, is the International Institute of Business Analysis, which is a global institution. It is not Salesforce specific. It is business analysis specific. And again, when we're talking about those core skills, the IIBA is a great resource for learning about a lot of those things.
Yeah, and IIBA is the publisher of the book, but they just sell it direct onto Amazon.
Oh, Abhinav is not able to unmute themselves. Do you want to? Why don't we go to Cam, and Abhinav? Why don't you put your question in the Q&A, and and I am happy to ask on your behalf.
Right, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Right. Sorry. Number one, I actually joined this call very late. I know we're talking about the BA, some conversations right now. I'm actually looking for a question for my mentees. Um, they work for end users where Salesforce is 50% utilization, plus they have other CRMs in the business. So the question is there any other platform where they can do BA exam if they don't want to do only Salesforce, or Salesforce plus any business analyst advanced level certifications? Has any of you ever seen those certifications related to business analyst only?
Yeah.
Of
What country are you in?
I'm in UK, London.
Okay, so in the UK, BCS has certification, IIBA does, PMI does. BCS is very UK specific, more or less. It's more popular there, but otherwise IIBA and is really the gold standard.
Okay, I'm writing my notes. Sorry, it's my lack of knowledge in this side, but thank you.
No worries.
Cool. And there is that Salesforce BA certification, which isn't necessarily Salesforce specific, though it does kind of frame things in a Salesforce way. But I think in this day and age, maybe getting that IIBA one might be the move. I still feel like that admin cert is still going to benefit you more as a Salesforce BA than the actual BA exam, at least where we're at right now. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think this is more on people. They are from the PMO background, and suddenly they just chucked into the project on Salesforce and Microsoft and Oracle technologies already in the business. And now, all right, how to improve my skills? Basically, that's the question. Is it only Salesforce BA cert, or can I do something else? All right, then I got stuck. I thought, luckily, I'm on this call, so thank you. So yeah.
Cool. I have not seen Abhinav's question.
There is a question in there from Macarena. What would we say are the top soft skills a BA should focus on in the next 2 to 5 years? All of them? No. I mean, what comes to mind though is facilitation, but I mean that in a far broader sense than like following a meeting agenda. I mean that in terms of like building relationships, thinking through the strategy of a meeting, thinking through what do the people in the meeting need to get out of the meeting, and how am I going to craft a really meaningful meeting and engagement for that group? How am I going to influence them without authority? How am I going to, right? So it's a very big umbrella of facilitation, influence, relationship building, and decision-making type skills. And yeah, love for folks to chime in on their ideas on that as well.
I like the clairvoyance. I don't know if I'd consider that a soft skill, but
I'm not sure how we define that. But.
And I see we have a question from Rohan.
Hi, I see that you did have, or you have BA Cube. Did you talk about that yet?
No, if you'd like me to, I can, but I'm just trying to not make it a sales or marketing presentation. But if you'd like me to,
I mean, it is one of the keep the conversation going section. So.
Yeah, no, BA Cube I started 8 years ago. It was after I started doing LinkedIn learning courses. I wanted to provide a format that went deeper and did live events. So that's why I started BA Cube. So it's a community. It has courses, templates, live events, mentoring, cohorts, all kinds of things on there. There's a free membership level, and then a paid membership level, as well as a manager group for BA managers and leaders. And I have more plans in the works. So the keyboard cracking. I don't know who that is.
Yes.
Who's on their keyboard?
Yeah, that was me. Okay. I had to mute myself.
Oh, Abhinav is able to come on now, it looks like, or I see. Abhinav, are you there? There you are. We see you're unmuted, but we can't hear you yet.
The suspense is killing me.
Yeah.
No, we still can't hear you, Abhinav. Sorry. While we wait for Abhinav to see if to work out the technical issues, Pei, I wanted to open the floor for you. I know you had a recent newsletter actually that touched on business analysis and AI, and I just wanted to see if you wanted to add anything.
No notes really. Actually, my focus was around the job industry for BAs, and how we're not going to be replaced actually. That we, because there's a lot of conversation about AI is going to see a lot of erosion of the jobs for developers. And somebody said, well, the BAs won't be required either, because I can get ChatGPT to spit out user stories and acceptance criteria and test cases. What we're going to need you for? Aha, young man, let me tell you. So that was more what I was, the focus is. But Angela's session actually goes a lot deeper about how our value has changed, and how we can use AI to actually augment and what's the word? Pokemon, when they evolve into like Gen 2 or level 2. And I think because of the soft skill, because of human skills, we are probably more evolutionary, stronger than the developers. So say I, because this is the BA group. There's no developers here.
I agree. And I think some of the stuff I'm working on is, I have a huge passion right now for this exact thing, Pei, where, we're seeing a lot of people say BAs won't be needed. And a lot of those big consultancies and tech companies are kind of inferring it, but it's not right. And so I have a big passion for getting the right word out on what the BA value is. I'm working on an article right now for a big journal. I've got some peer reviews reading it right now, but hopefully that will make a big difference for a lot of business leaders reading it, where we're talking about what the value of a BA is in business analysis. And I'm working on some product type stuff to push out to the BA community as well, more defining this role of the future and really helping us all get the word out. Because, hey, I couldn't agree more. BAs are needed more in a world of AI. And we are well positioned. Here's the thing. Developers will try to come into the space, and many will succeed and many will not. Just like today's BAs, many will succeed into the future, and I'm afraid some will not. How do you become the one that succeeds? You have to be able to think high level and detailed, and be able to switch between the two and know when to use which. And that skill is tough to build. So start really paying attention to that. The more we can build relationships and influence without authority, and connect the dots that others don't connect, because we can see an ecosystem of data, users, process, workflow, and tech together. The more we can see all of that, connect it all, and then do the right things to talk to the right people at the right level of detail at the right time, is the magic. That does take experience. It does take practice, right? But you're right. I mean, developers, some of them are going to be able to step into that and some won't, just like some of us as BAs will. So it's not automatic for us.
So do you have time for one last question, Angela?
Oh yeah, I'm good. I don't have another thing till my live event. Oh, the one on Spectrum and
yes, I'll. So we've got one last one in the Q&A. What guidance can you suggest for organizing and centralizing information, or things that you've learned when using multiple, you said a dozen AI tools?
Oh boy. It's tricky, because some organizations you have to use approved AI tools. Some organizations can let you go a little more rogue on it. So I think it depends on a lot of those governance concerns within your organization. If I tell you, oh yeah, just go use anything, then I might be going against your organization's governance policies, right? So it depends, because like I've even talking to organizations about how different projects require different tools, require different BA processes. So a brand new software implementation of Salesforce is different than updates to it, is different than a custom build, is different if a vendor's working with you as an integrator or not, is different than legacy systems that are built. Like all these different project types require different tasks and different things that BAs do with different techniques. So I think you're going to have to work with other people in your organization on that and figure out what the sample and guidance is. I don't think there's one answer to that other than keep working with the people in your organization on that and together co-create what makes sense.
Well, thank you so much, Angela. I would love it if you'd stick around because I'm about to promote your next session, if that's cool.
Sure.
All right.
I have to stop sharing officially, don't I? Let's see.
Yes.
There we go. I click the magic button to stop sharing.
All right. Let me go share this window here. Okay, everybody, thank you so much, Angela. We know that it is tough out there being the BA influencer that you are. So appreciate you spending time with our little group here today. And if you want to see more of Angela, she is actually pulling, I believe, triple duty today. She's going to be doing a session on AI spec-driven development meets vibe coding later on today. 2 p.m. Pacific, so several hours from now. Hopefully you get a little bit of a break to have lunch, I hope.
I do. After this, until 2 is my break. I've already been working since 6 this morning with clients, and then I've got an AI event locally in my hometown tonight at 5.
Excellent. So do you want to say anything about this session before?
Oh, yeah. I think this is going to be so cool. I'm so excited to bring Ray and Chris together to talk about a requirements reality check. So this is really, really going to find the dissonance that we're hearing between BAs aren't needed. It can be automated, right? Like you're hearing like, oh, just vibe code, just tell it what to build and it'll do it. No requirements needed. And then there's this other kind of realm that is happening and picking up steam right now, where GitHub and AWS have released tools for this recently. And then other tools that are happening where they're generating really detailed specs that get fed into an AI coding tool. Okay, well, who's going to create the specs? What do these specs look like? And so to me, this is just a very fascinating discussion about two very trending topics about how requirements will be done in the future. And we're gonna hash it out. Now, if you miss the event, it will be recorded and on the same exact URL page as the live stream. Did I have a link, or do you have that, Vanessa? Or should I grab it?
No, let me see if I can find. I will, if it could go on Angela's page and throw the link into the chat. I will throw it in the pin. Sorry, that was my bad, not getting it on the
I
slide.
had it all figured out. Here we go. Until I had to restart my computer and lost all my open tabs in order to use this Trailblazer platform. I can find it. Here we go. Let me just take me a couple more clicks to get to my events. There we go. Let me get it. Copy. Okay, here is the event link. So copy that off because the recording will be on the same page.
Awesome. Well, it was there for a second. Okay, I'm gonna, if it ends up in the chat, if somebody could. Oh, you pasted the wrong. All right, Angela, did you paste it in the chat?
Yes.
I don't see it.
Angela, 1001.
I don't know where.
LinkedIn.com/events.
Yeah, I got it. I don't know, for some reason it's disappeared, but I copied it out. Yeah.
Oh, it's disappeared.
Oh, can you try again, Angela? Can you just post it in?
Yes. Let me go a few more clicks to get back to that. And Well, actually, I mean, it should still be on my clipboard. Hold on. There we go. Yeah.
There we go.
Don has it in there. Okay, good.
All right, I've pinned it. Everybody can join this event now. All right. In other news, we have less than 2 months if we want to get that free Agentforce certification. That means I kind of need to get on that if I want to practice what I preach here. But just FYI, 6 weeks to go, folks. Also, an interesting little thing, Salesforce Ben and Easy Protect are doing a little hack challenge to highlight security in org. So if anybody wants to give it a go, it is free. There's a couple of prizes, and we'll certainly help you tweak some of those security skills and let you know what's going on. Certainly, there's been a lot of challenges in recent months as far as Salesforce security. So a good exercise for all, whether you're a BA, development, what have you. Then new article. I don't know if folks have seen, but I put up an article on LinkedIn. So I don't know if anybody wants to post that. I think I'd rather keep Ant's thing up. But especially for some of the newer folks, I don't know if anybody who joined that BA Fundamentals course came on, but I wrote an article basically talking about how Salesforce had reimagine the Salesforce BA role. What we have here is how they reimagined it in the middle column, and I put a little bit of update on the right column. Now, I don't think that after having had some discussions with Salesforce actually about this recently, I don't believe it was intentional to kind of rewrite what the fundamentals of business analysis were, but I still think that it's important that we correct misinformation, particularly if we're framing something as fundamentals, because business analysis fundamentals, again, that's not going to change. So when we're talking about stakeholder collaboration, that's the fundamental. As far as Agentforce to share information, generate summaries, I mean, if you have Agentforce and it's in your tech stack, leverage Agent if you think that has been other tools in your tech stack. At the end of the day, a lot of these things are tools. And as business analysts, we have to be nimble. And if there's something in our tech stack that makes sense to leverage for what we're doing, we should be leveraging it. Requirements gathering. I know that we need Agentforce and Prompt Builder. We need a transcription tool for sure. I would say leveraging an LLM, but it doesn't have to be things. Data analysis. If we walked in and said, hey, we need to do data analysis, we should implement a data cloud in order to do the Salesforce project. That's not, don't recommend major implementations when you're already on a project for something else. Again, leverage the tech stack that you don't, and I think this is where sales maybe went a little bit astray, trying to like, oh, how many products can we throw in here? As opposed to focusing on what business analysis actually does. I think somebody commented that it was, we're kind of doing it the wrong way around. Like we should be using business analysis so that we implement these things, not using these things so we can implement business analysis. So just an alert on, certainly if you saw somebody that went at fundamentals course, and I just don't want folks to think that Salesforce's vision is what Salesforce business analysis fundamentals are. So as much as we can correct misinformation, I want us to, and Salesforce is going to an effort actually to relaunch this. So being noisy has paid off, I think, to a certain extent, that at least there's visibility into this course and hopefully it will be better. But I wanted to point that out because I think we should all, especially, it's challenging whether you're forced or anywhere to define what a business analyst does, but with all that education, we're all educating the folks we work with, the folks that are in our community, and I think we all have, as professionals, a responsibility to make sure that we're making sure the right information is out there. Another thing I wanted to bring up is Gilda is doing the Did I Complete All of My 2025 Goals countdown with 111 certification vouchers. So get that Google Sheet filled out. It's a lovely little effort. And so if folks were looking to get that cert before the end of the year, like, go let Gilda know what you got going on. So Gilda Hilaire on LinkedIn, but the Google Doc is there. I can try and paste that in when I am not in the middle of presenting. Calls for speakers. Irish Dreamin' is looking for folks. True North Dreamin' in Toronto. Buckeye Dreamin' in Columbus, Ohio. SoCal Dreamin', I guess, is somehow already looking for 2026 speakers. Sure. But if you guys were like, I am exhausted, I need a vacation, or I'm just going to take a sick day and go on vacation for a few days, I highly recommend you going to Mexico Dreamin' like tomorrow. Go see Pay Speak this week. So that's my advice for this week. Go take that trip to Mexico that you've always wanted to take. Go hang out with Pay. Don't drink the water. And with that, I'm going to say a thank you, and then we're going to do some duck races off recording. So I'm going to say goodbye to the YouTube folks. Work on your BA skills and your AI skills. And thank you, Angela, again for being with us. Bye, YouTube folks. We're going to go do some duck races. You're just going to have to look it up if you want to know what that means.